key to freedom, happiness, and even success isn't in your plans, your past, or your possessions, but in this very moment. The Power of Now by Ekhart Tolle is a spiritual and psychological manifesto that declares true liberation begins when you stop living in time and start living in present. In other words, the secret to an awakened life isn't more doing, it's more being. This central thesis echoes across countless books. In Atomic Habits, James Clear emphasizes identity change and present moment focus. In Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill insists that definiteness of purpose must begin with a calm, controlled mind in the untethered soul. By Michael Singer, The Observer, self-awareness beyond thought takes center stage. Tolle's brilliance lies in synthesizing Eastern wisdom with a Western audience as hunger for peace amidst chaos. Chapter 1, The Cost of Later. We often treat later as if it's harmless, a harmless pause, a harmless postponement, just a brief delay. We convince ourselves that what we don't do now will eventually get to, but buried beneath that simple word is a silent cost, one that quietly accumulates every time we say it. Each later is a subtle act of postponing not just a task, but our dreams, our goals, and even our most cherished relationships. It may feel like a safe decision, a way to buy time, but in truth, later can become a habit, and that habit slowly erodes our potential, not in one dramatic moment, but bit by bit, in the quiet background of our lives. Imagine this. Every time you delay, it's like making a small withdrawal from your life's savings account. Not money, but time, energy, connection. Each tiny deferral might seem insignificant in the moment, but over weeks, months, and years, those small withdrawals add up. Eventually, you're left with an account depleted of opportunities never taken, goals never reached, and memories never made. This chapter is a deep reflection on how later chips away at the things we value most often, and the price we pay isn't just on a grand scale. The cost of later infiltrates everyday life. It's the unmade phone call, the moment not shared, the smile you forgot to give. It's putting off joy, connection, and rest, believing there will always be time until one day there isn't. And then we look back not at the big things we missed, but at the small ones, the ones that made up the texture of our lives. Even more powerful is the emotional toll. Repeated delays create a quiet storm inside us. Guilt for what we haven't done, stress about what we're avoiding, an annoying sense that something is always left unfinished. The longer we wait, the heavier the burden becomes. By the time we finally act, we often feel drained, discouraged, and burdened by the question, why didn't I do this sooner? Recognizing the hidden cost of later can be the jolt we need, a wake-up call that invites us to make different choices today. Because in the end, it's not someday that shapes our lives, it's the choices we make now. This chapter reminds us that urgency isn't always about speed, it's about presence, and that trading later for now is the first step toward a life lived with clarity, connection, and intention, one moment at a time. Chapter 2, Breaking Free from Excuses. Excuses are deceptively comforting. They shield us from the sting of failure, the risk of rejection, and the fog of uncertainty. In the moment, they feel like protection, a soft place to hide. But make no mistake, every excuse we tell ourselves becomes another link in a chain that quietly binds us to where we are. Each time we say, I don't have time, I'm not ready, or I'll start tomorrow, we give those chains more power. This chapter invites us to look at excuses not as harmless thoughts, but as self-imposed barriers, mental walls we construct to avoid discomfort. And here's the tricky part. Excuses often come dressed in logic. I'll start when I have more money. Now's not the right time. These justifications sound reasonable, even responsible, but what they really do is keep us standing still, waiting for a perfect moment that may never arrive. Breaking free from excuses requires courage, the courage to challenge those reasonable delays and ask the harder question, what is really stopping me? Most often, it's not the world, not the timing, not the resources. It's our own fear. fear of failing, fear of not being good enough, fear of being seen trying. When we confront these excuses, we reclaim our power. We begin to act, not because everything is in place, but because we finally understand that waiting won't bring clarity action. Breaking free also means taking radical responsibility. When we stop blaming our circumstances, our schedule, our upbringing, or other people, we return to the driver's seat of our lives. This chapter reminds us that we are not helpless bystanders. We are not victims of the moment. We are co-creators of what comes next. Ownership is empowerment, and through that ownership, we tap into a deep well of strength and resilience we may have forgotten was even there. Now, imagine the time and mental energy we spend crafting, polishing, and repeating our excuses. Imagine what would happen if we redirected that same energy toward action, toward risk, toward growth. That's the power of letting go. The moment we drop the excuse, we make space for movement, for momentum, for dreams long deferred. This chapter ultimately shows us that the first step towards success isn't waiting for better timing. It's deciding. It's saying, I'll begin, even if I'm scared, even if I'm uncertain, even if it's messy. And every time we follow through, every time we act in spite of fear, we break another link in the invisible chain that has held us back for too long. So, here's a question only you can answer. What excuse have you told yourself so many times you've started to believe it's true? Drop your answer in the comments. Let's confront it together.
Chapter 3: Embracing the Power of Immediate Action. There's an extraordinary force hidden in one simple decision: taking action now. Immediate action isn't about rushing or being impulsive. It's about seizing the present moment and transforming it into forward motion. It's about momentum, the quiet yet powerful energy that carries you farther than hesitation ever could. This chapter is a call to recognize the quiet magic of acting today, not tomorrow, not next week, not when everything feels perfect. Because when we take immediate action, we convert intention into motion. Dreams stop floating in the abstract and begin taking form in the real world. Immediate action also silences our inner saboteurs. The longer we wait, the more room we give to doubt, to fear, to endless overthinking. In that waiting space, dreams decay. But when we move without delay, we disrupt that cycle. We interrupt the self-talk that says we're not ready, not smart enough, not worthy. By choosing to act now, we make a bold declaration. I don't need perfection to begin. I just need to begin. This mindset isn't about flawless execution, it's about momentum. When we step forward, we collect experiences, we build resilience, and we acquire lessons that no amount of planning can teach. It's through movement, not thought, that we grow. Even more powerful. Immediate action is a signal we send to ourselves. Every time we choose to move instead of stall, we strengthen our identity as someone who follows through. It's a promise kept. A silent, powerful reminder that we are committed, capable, and in control. And the reward? Each small action builds confidence. Each courageous step, no matter how uncertain, proves to us that success isn't about waiting for the stars to align. It's about walking forward, step by step, even when the path isn't fully clear. This shift in mindset creates something incredible, a cycle of self-belief. Action builds confidence. Confidence fuels more action. And slowly, we become unstoppable, not because we were ready, but because we were willing. In this chapter, we dive into how to make immediate action a habit, not a one-time surge of motivation. Acting quickly doesn't mean acting carelessly. It means moving with clarity and purpose, even when the circumstances aren't perfect, because they never are. To embrace the power of now is to take back control of your life. It's to trust yourself and the process, knowing that progress lives in motion, not in planning, not in wishing, but in doing. Ultimately, the path to your future is shaped not by grand intentions, but by the choices you make today in this moment, right now. So, here's the question I leave you with. If you took action on just one thing today, where could you be a month from now? Share it in the comments. Let this be the moment everything starts to change. Chapter 4. Letting go of the past to build a future. Our past is a mosaic and intricate tapestry woven from memories, experiences, and lessons. Some moments shimmer with joy, while others are shadowed by pain. And while there's comfort in the familiar, there's also danger in clinging too tightly to what has already passed. Carrying the weight of yesterday can quietly anchor us to who we were, keeping us from becoming who we're meant to be. Letting go doesn't mean erasing the past or pretending it didn't shape us. It means releasing its grip so it no longer defines our present or dictates our future. This chapter is about the quiet, powerful act of liberation, of choosing to no longer be held hostage by old wounds, outdated beliefs, or unfulfilled versions of ourselves. Holding on often means reliving the same loops, habits, regrets, or identities that no longer serve us. We replay conversations, rewrite outcomes in our minds, or carry guilt like a hidden weight. But by staying tethered to what was, we miss what could be. Our energy, instead of flowing forward, gets stuck in a time that no longer exists. To let go is to reclaim that energy, to step out of the past and into the possibility of something new. It's not about denial. It's about discernment, choosing what to carry forward and what to leave behind. One of the most powerful ways to release the past is to shift the lens through which we view it. Instead of being haunted by the emotions an event stirs, we can ask, what did this teach me? Maybe a painful ending taught you strength. Maybe a failure revealed a better path. When we seek the lesson rather than the loss, we transform the past from a prison into a teacher. This shift from, "Why did this happen to me?" to "What can I learn from this?" gives us power. It allows us to view ourselves not as victims of circumstance, but as students of life. And that perspective alone can free us to move forward with clarity, purpose, and grace. Letting go also calls for forgiveness of others, yes, but perhaps most importantly, of ourselves. Guilt, shame, resentment, they're like invisible weights, pulling us backward even when we try to move ahead. Forgiveness doesn't excuse the hurt. It simply refuses to let that hurt continue to define us. It's saying, I choose freedom over bitterness. I choose peace over the past. Forgiveness is not forgetting, it's releasing. Releasing the pain, the anger, the story that says you're forever trapped in what happened. And when you let go of that story, even just a little, your future begins to open. Because here's the truth. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are the choices you make now. You are the person who rises, learns, heals, and evolves. Your experiences have shaped you, but they do not get to limit you. Each day, each breath, each decision is a blank canvas. When we stop looking backward, we begin to build a life guided not by limitation, but by vision. In this chapter, we explore practical steps for loosening the grip of the past, tools for reflection, forgiveness, and inner release. You'll learn how to gently unburden your heart, how to redirect your focus toward a future defined by who you want to become, not who you used to be. Letting go is not a single act, it's a journey. And with each step, You grow lighter, stronger, freer. You begin to live not in reaction to the past, but in alignment with your highest potential. So I leave you with this one powerful question. What part of your past have you carried for too long? And who might you become if you finally set it down? Share your thoughts in the comments. Someone out there needs your story to help them release theirs.
Chapter 5, Living with Purpose. Today, living with purpose. T about grand achievements or waiting for a defining moment. Titus about choosing every single day to align your thoughts, actions, and goals with what truly matters to you. Purpose transforms the ordinary into the meaningful. When you wake up with a sense of why, even the smallest gestures, how you speak, how you work, how you connect become infused with direction and significance. Purpose isn't a destination you arrive at. It's a way of living, a quiet, persistent intention that moves with you from moment to moment, adding depth to your choices and clarity to your path. This chapter is an invitation to begin living with that mindset now, cultivating a life rooted not in routine, but in meaning. One of the first and most essential steps in living with purpose is reflection. You must ask, what genuinely matters to me? Peel away the noise, the expectations, the distractions. What values do you hold sacred? What moments make you feel most alive, most you? Is it serving others, creating something lasting, growing into your potential, or making the world a little better? Clarifying what fuels you lays the foundation for a meaningful life. Once you know what matters, you can begin to prioritize your time and energy around it. Purpose becomes a compass, guiding your daily decisions and keeping you aligned with your bigger vision. Living with purpose also means setting intentional, values-driven goals. These aren't just tasks to check off. They are expressions of your deeper mission. If your purpose is to uplift and inspire, then your goals might include writing, mentoring, speaking, or creating content that sparks transformation in others. These goals provide direction. Each step forward becomes a building block in a life of intention and impact. But purposeful living isn't just about long-term goals, it's also about presence. In a world full of distractions, it's easy to fall into autopilot, doing what's urgent instead of what's important. Practicing mindfulness brings you back to what matters. It helps you stay connected, not just to your goals, but to the richness of each moment. Purpose is not always found in big acts. It often lives in the small things. A meaningful conversation, a kind gesture, taking care of your body, your mind, your spirit. Challenges, of course, are inevitable. But when you live with purpose, they don't derail you, they refine you. Purpose gives you resilience. It becomes your why when the how gets difficult. When setbacks arise, you don't give up. You remember why you started. You see the hard times not as roadblocks, but as stepping stones. And that shift in perspective changes everything. Another truth about living purposefully: it evolves. Your purpose isn't fixed. It grows with you. As you gain new experiences, perspectives, and insights, you may discover that your path shifts. That's not a failure, it's growth. Purpose isn't rigid, it's alive. Let it adapt as you do. Staying open to change allows you to remain authentic too. Honor who you are today while becoming who you were meant to be tomorrow. Purposeful living brings a kind of joy that material success alone can't offer. It creates a deep-rooted sense of fulfillment, knowing that your life is connected to something larger than yourself. When you align your daily actions with your inner values, you stop merely existing. You start living fully, intentionally, meaningfully. This chapter offers you practical steps for discovering, nurturing, and embodying your purpose. Because living with purpose is a daily choice, a commitment you make every morning to act with intention, to speak with integrity, and to pursue a life filled with meaning and direction. And when you live this way, you do more than create a fulfilling life. You create a legacy, one that touches others, that ripples through generations, and leaves the world just a little brighter than you found it. So, I leave you with this. If you could align just one action today with your deepest values, what would that action be? Drop it in the comments and let it be your first step toward a more purposeful life.
Chapter 6: Building Consistency and Momentum. Consistency is the quiet force that transforms goals into reality. It's not about dramatic leaps or sudden breakthroughs. It's about showing up every day in small ways. Over time, those seemingly insignificant actions build momentum, and that momentum becomes the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. This chapter is about the power of consistency, how to cultivate it, protect it, and turn it into a rhythm that carries you toward your vision. One purposeful step at a time. The truth is, consistency beats intensity. While grand gestures may feel exciting in the moment, it's the steady drumbeat of daily effort that drives lasting transformation. A few pages read each day, a 5-minute workout, a moment of reflection. These small acts might feel modest, but when repeated, they compound into meaningful change. Progress isn't always loud. It's often quiet, steady, and invisible. Until one day, it's undeniable. Creating consistency begins with structure. When you build a routine, you remove the daily mental tug-of-war about when or whether to act. Your goals become woven into the fabric of your day, not something you need to constantly negotiate. A good routine turns your ambitions into automatic habits. On the days when motivation fades, and it will, your habits will keep carrying you forward. But you don't have to do it alone. Accountability adds another layer of support. Whether it's a friend, a mentor, or a community, having someone who knows your goals and walks beside you in the journey can make all the difference. When someone else is watching, encouraging, and checking in, your commitment deepens. You no longer act just for yourself. You act as part of something greater. Another essential ingredient in consistency: realism. Lofty goals are inspiring, but if they're too big too soon, they can overwhelm. Break your vision into smaller, actionable steps. These mini milestones keep you motivated. Each time you reach one, you experience a small win, a boost of energy that reinforces your progress and strengthens your momentum. And as you move forward, you'll begin to feel it. That momentum. One disciplined morning leads to a productive week. It builds gradually, quietly. At first, progress might be slow or invisible, but one action fuels the next. One week builds a confident month. Before long, you've created a current that pulls you forward. And then, consistency stops feeling like discipline. It becomes a way of life. Of course, setbacks happen. Life gets messy. Routines get disrupted. But consistency is not about perfection. It's about perseverance. A missed day doesn't erase your progress. What matters most is how quickly you return. Let go of the all-or-nothing mindset. Show yourself grace. You're far more likely to follow through, especially when things get difficult. Every time you choose to begin again, you strengthen your resilience and your long-term success. Purpose is the fuel behind consistency. When you deeply understand why you're working towards something, your why becomes your anchor, reminding you what's at stake, why it matters, and who you're becoming in the process. When motivation fades, purpose endures. Tracking your progress is another powerful tool. Whether through a journal, an app, or a simple calendar, keeping a visual record of your efforts helps you see how far you've come. And on days when you feel stuck or discouraged, that record becomes proof evidence that you are, in fact, moving forward. progress you can see is progress you believe in. And don't forget to celebrate. Celebrate the discipline. Celebrate the effort. Celebrate the simple fact that you showed up again and again. These celebrations don't have to be elaborate, a moment of reflection, a small reward, a quiet acknowledgement. When you honor your consistency, you reinforce it. It becomes something you value.
Chapter 7. Mastering the art of saying yes to now. Saying yes to the present moment is one of the most profound choices we can make. In a world that constantly pulls our attention backward to the regrets of the past or forward to the uncertainties of the future, we often overlook the only moment we ever truly own. Mastering the art of embracing the present is not just about awareness, it's about unlocking a life filled with purpose, clarity, and power. This chapter is your invitation to live in the present, to say yes to what is, and in doing so, transform the way you act, think, and experience the world around you. It all begins with a deep understanding of time. Each moment is fleeting, irreplaceable, and sacred. Once it slips away, it cannot be retrieved. Saying yes to now means honoring the value of each second and choosing to act, not when the timing is perfect, but when it's possible. And that time is always now. When you truly grasp this truth, a quiet urgency takes root, not the rush of anxiety, but the clarity of intention. Why do so many of us struggle to live in the now? Because the past clings to us. We replay old stories, rehash painful memories, or even romanticize better days, hoping to change what's already carved into history. But clinging to the past is like trying to drive forward while staring in the rearview mirror. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting it, means freeing yourself from the grip of what no longer serves you. When we release the weight of yesterday, we open space for today to bloom. Fear of the future is another thief of presence. Worry paralyzes us with what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. But the future is a canvas we have yet to paint, and the brush is in our hands today. When we ground ourselves in the present, we reclaim our power. We shift from what we can't control to what we can. Our focus, our energy, our next action. Saying yes to now also means being fully here. In a distracted world of endless tabs, pings, and scrolling, presence has become a rare and revolutionary act. But when you give your full attention to a task, a person, or a moment, you infuse it with power. Depth replaces haste, meaning replaces noise. Productivity and fulfillment rise not because you're doing more, but because you're finally being more. One path to this kind of presence is mindfulness. Mindfulness is not just meditation, it's a lifestyle. It's the practice of observing your thoughts, feelings, and surroundings without judgment. It's noticing when your mind drifts and gently returning to now. With mindfulness, we stop sleepwalking through our days and begin living them with eyes wide open. Each breath becomes an anchor to the present. Saying yes to now also invites spontaneity. Not all joy can be planned. Some of life's most magical moments arrive unannounced if we're open enough to receive them. Embracing spontaneity means breaking free from rigidity, letting go of overscheduling, and trusting that curiosity and intuition sometimes know the way better than control does. It keeps life vibrant, fresh, alive. To live in the now, we must also learn to act without analysis paralysis traps us in endless cycles of what if, but waiting for perfect certainty often results in missed opportunities. Saying yes to now means recognizing that imperfect action is still action, and action, no matter how small, creates momentum. The choice to move forward today is always more powerful than the decision to wait indefinitely. This mindset also asks us to let go of perfectionism. Life isn't perfect. Neither are we. Waiting for flawless conditions is another way we avoid progress. But purpose lives in motion, not in delay. Saying yes to now means choosing growth over perfection, progress over hesitation, and freedom over fear. In a world full of distractions, saying yes to now also means saying yes to what truly matters. We are bombarded by choices every day, some aligned with our values, others merely distractions in disguise. Living in the now means filtering out the noise, getting intentional with our time, and investing in actions that nourish our goals and souls. It's the art of choosing what adds meaning, not just what offers temporary comfort. Gratitude is another key to embracing the present. When we pause to appreciate the now, we shift our focus from scarcity to abundance, from what's missing to what's here. Gratitude grounds us. It reminds us that this moment, however ordinary, is still a gift. It softens us. It awakens joy, and it pulls us gently but firmly back into the richness of the present. Connection is yet another expression of saying yes to now. When we are truly present with the people around us, we build deeper relationships. We listen with attention. We speak with sincerity. We share without rushing. Presence turns time with others into meaningful moments that linger in memory long after they're gone. Letting go of control is also part of this art. Life will never be fully predictable. When we release the illusion that we must manage every detail, we begin to trust in the unfolding of life. We learn to flow with change, to adapt with grace, and to focus on what is within our hands today. Letting go isn't surrender, it's freedom. Ultimately, saying yes to now means meeting each day with openness. Every sunrise offers a new opportunity to grow, love, learn, and make a difference. It asks only that we show up with intention, but we stop waiting for the right time and realize the right time is this time, right now. This chapter isn't just a reflection, it's a declaration that life begins not at the next milestone or after the next breakthrough or when things finally settle down. It begins now, and when we learn to live here fully, courageously, gratefully, unlock a deeper joy and a richer purpose than we ever imagined. So let me leave you with this question. If you truly said yes to this moment just as it is, how might your entire life begin to change? Share your answer in the comments. You may find that now is a doorway you've been waiting for all along. Chapter 8. The Power of a Future-Free Mindset. Adopting a future-free mindset may feel radical in a world that celebrates forward thinking, long-term goals, and relentless ambition. But what if freedom, clarity, and peace aren't found in the next milestone but in this very moment? This chapter explores the liberating art of loosening our grip on the future, not to abandon goals, but to release the anxiety and pressure that come from constant anticipation. A future-free mindset isn't about apathy. It's about presence. It's about stepping into each day with clarity and the courage to engage fully with the life that's unfolding right now. One of the greatest gifts of a future-free mindset is the easing of anxiety. The future, by its nature, is uncertain. When our minds fixate on what might happen, we become trapped in a loop of what-ifs, imagined outcomes, fears that haven't arrived, and scenarios that may never come to pass. This obsession robs us of mental space and emotional peace. But when we step back, when we allow ourselves to focus on what is directly within reach, we breathe deeper, we calm the noise. We give ourselves permission to be here, in this space. We can still plan, but we do so without attaching our identity or well-being to a fantasy. We think about the future without sacrificing the present to it. With less mental clutter, we begin to see more clearly. We notice the small moments, the sound of laughter, the texture of light on a wall, the way our breath rises and falls. The mundane becomes meaningful. When we're not distracted by tomorrow, we start to see life not as something to conquer, but something to experience right now. Awareness deepens. Gratitude expands. A future-free mindset also leads to better decisions. When our actions are tethered to a rigid vision of the future, we often choose based on fear of missing out, of not measuring up, of failing to arrive. But when we release this tight grip, our choices begin to reflect who we are, rather than who we think we're supposed to become. We make decisions grounded in current reality, values, and truth, not projections or fantasies. And with that release comes freedom. We stop chasing a life that doesn't yet exist and start living the one that does. The pressure to achieve, to prove, to reach some distant benchmark dissolves. In its place, rises an openness, a willingness to explore, to adapt, and to discover joy in the unfolding of the unknown. This sense of openness also transforms how we connect with others. When we're fixated on the future, we often treat conversations as steps on a ladder, or people as roles in our narrative. But when we meet others in the present, something shifts. We begin to see them, to listen, to engage, to connect without agenda. Presence becomes intimacy. Relationships deepen, not through elaborate plans, but through shared presence. Flexibility and resilience flourish in this mindset. When we're not tethered to a single outcome, we can pivot with ease. Challenges become detours, not dead ends. We're no longer devastated by change, because we've trained ourselves to live in motion, to walk forward without needing to control the direction of the wind. Creativity thrives in the present. When our thoughts aren't boxed into specific outcomes, we begin to experiment. We try. We fail. We play. The absence of future pressure creates fertile ground for imagination. Inspiration comes not from over-planning, but from openness. Some of the most profound discoveries in our lives happen when we not following a script, but letting ourselves improvise. And with all of this comes compassion for ourselves. When we live only for future milestones, we measure ourselves by what we haven't yet achieved. We beat ourselves up for delays, missteps, or uncertainties. But a future-free mindset softens this harsh self. We begin to understand that life is not a race, it's a rhythm. We become more patient, more forgiving, more human. This doesn't mean we stop striving. It means we decouple achievement from worth. It means we pursue goals with curiosity instead of desperation. When we're not addicted to outcomes, we find joy in the process. Each step becomes meaningful. Each moment a destination in itself. We don't delay happiness for success. We find fulfillment in the act of becoming. And that, ultimately, is the secret. Present joy. Without the constant need to chase, we rediscover the beauty in the everyday. A meal becomes sacred. A conversation becomes profound. A quiet afternoon becomes enough. Contentment doesn't wait for tomorrow, it lives in today. This mindset allows us to act boldly. The now becomes our foundation, not a stepping stone to somewhere better, but the place where all beauty, meaning, and transformation begin. Let me leave you with this question. If you stopped living for tomorrow, what might you finally say yes to today? Share your answer in the comments. You never know what it might unlock. Chapter 9, Cultivating Gratitude for Today. Gratitude is more than a feel-good sentiment. It's a lens, a way of seeing, and ultimately, a way of living. It roots us in the now, anchoring our awareness in the richness of this moment. It gently redirects our focus from what is missing to what is already present, from craving the future to cherishing the now. In this chapter, we explore the transformative power of gratitude, not just as a fleeting emotion, but as a profound spiritual and psychological practice that can rewire how we experience life. When we commit to gratitude, we step into a world colored by sufficiency, joy, and peace. At its essence, gratitude it sharpens our awareness of life, its daily blessings, those often overlooked or taken for granted in the hustle of everyday ambition. A warm conversation, the soft light of morning, the simple miracle of breath. Gratitude helps us slow down, notice, and name what is good. And by doing so, we multiply it. Even our problems, seen through the lens of gratitude, take on a new shape. Life is filled with struggle. Yes, but within every difficulty lies a quiet opportunity. Gratitude doesn't ask us to deny our pain. Rather, it invites us to recognize the lessons hidden within the discomfort. We begin to see that strength grows in adversity, that resilience is born from hardship. What once felt like failure becomes evidence of our fortitude. And in our relationships, gratitude acts as a bridge. When we take the time to acknowledge the people in our lives, to say thank you not just out of habit, but from the heart, we deepen bonds. We make others feel seen, valued, and cherished. In turn, we cultivate empathy, generosity, and connection. Gratitude creates a positive feedback loop. The more we give it, the more it returns. But the power of gratitude isn't limited to the emotional realm. It transforms us physiologically. Studies have shown that those who practice gratitude regularly experience better sleep, lower stress, and elevated mood. Why? Because gratitude softens the nervous system. It pulls us out of the future, out of fear, and gently returns us to the safety of the present. Gratitude is a mindset of abundance, where scarcity whispers, "I am not enough, and I need more." Gratitude boldly declares, "I have enough." This subtle shift changes everything. Our thoughts become lighter, our needs simpler, our lives richer through addition, but through appreciation. Suddenly, what we have becomes more than sufficient. It becomes sacred. It also reintroduces us to joy, not the grand, cinematic kind, but joy in the small, a quiet morning, a familiar song, the smell of rain on dry earth. These details, once invisible, become treasures. Gratitude slows the world down enough for us to savor it, and in doing so, it transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. In times of suffering, gratitude becomes our quiet strength. It does not erase the pain, but it brings balance. In grief, we can still be thankful for what once was. In failure, we can still be grateful for what we've learned. This dual awareness allows us to walk through darkness while still holding a candle of light. Gratitude makes us resilient, not by hardening us, but by softening us, by helping us remember what remains, even in loss. Presence and gratitude walk hand in hand. To be grateful is to be here, not caught in nostalgia, nor tangled in worry, but present and alive. Gratitude tethers us to the moment in front of us. And in that presence, we find meaning. The seemingly insignificant moments become the ones we cherish most, because we were awake enough to notice them. Want to begin this journey? Start small. 3 things you're grateful for written down each day. This simple act becomes a lighthouse, guiding your attention back to joy, even on stormy days. Over time, it becomes a practice that recenters you, grounds you, and helps you weather life with grace. Gratitude naturally gives rise to generosity. When we appreciate what we have, we feel moved to share it. Not just money, but time, attention, love, kindness. A grateful heart is a giving heart. And in giving, we deepen our gratitude. This is how communities grow strong. Through shared appreciation and mutual uplift. The act of expressing gratitude also has a ripple effect. A kind word, a thoughtful thank you, a sincere compliment. These gestures reverberate beyond their moment. They build bridges. They restore faith. They create a culture of appreciation that heals, strengthens, and unites. Gratitude also dissolves comparison, the thief of joy. In a world constantly telling us to measure up, gratitude tells us, you are enough. Your life, as it is, holds immense value. When we stop looking sideways, we begin to see the richness of our own unique path. We celebrate others without resenting ourselves. And in that space, contentment quietly blooms. Even our relationship with ourselves is softened by gratitude. We begin to appreciate not just our successes, but our efforts. Not just our beauty, but our scars. We become grateful for the full spectrum of our journey, the mistakes, the triumphs, the growth. Gratitude fosters self-compassion, and from that soil, self-love grows. Most profoundly, gratitude creates lasting fulfillment, not the fleeting satisfaction of achievement or status, but a deep-rooted peace. It allows us to live in harmony with what is, to find wholeness without needing more. It turns daily life into sacred ground. A meal becomes a feast. a conversation, a ceremony, a walk outside, a homecoming. So, what does it mean to live with gratitude? It means choosing, again and again, to see what is good, to say thank you, to slow down, to see clearly. It means waking up each day and asking not what do I lack, but what have I already been given? Gratitude is the art of enough, and when we master it, life itself becomes more than enough. Now, here's a question to reflect on, and I'd love to see your answers in the comments. What's something in your life right now, think ordinary, that you're deeply grateful for today? Because sometimes it's in naming the smallest blessings that we uncover the greatest peace. Chapter 10. Redefining success as living in the present. We often grow up with the belief that success is a distant summit, something to be reached, conquered, and displayed. It is typically measured in milestones: a promotion, a degree, a title, a bank balance. But what if true success is not a destination to arrive at someday, but a way of being right now? What if the deepest success is found not in what we accomplish in the future, but in how we live this present moment? This chapter invites you to reconsider everything you've been taught about success. It offers a radical shift. That success is not about accumulating achievements, but about being fully alive in the now. That success is not a trophy at the end of the race, but the texture, meaning, and presence we bring to each step along the way. The traditional view of success is linear and forward. We are conditioned to believe that happiness awaits us after we reach a certain milestone. I'll be happy when I get the job, the house, the recognition. But this mentality keeps fulfillment just out of reach. It's a moving target, one that often trades today's peace for tomorrow's promise. To redefine success as living in the present is to reclaim joy here and now. It means measuring a good life not by how far we climb, but by how deeply we feel, connect, and engage with what is. It asks us to consider the quality of our moments rather than the quantity of our achievements. In this way, success becomes the warmth of a meaningful conversation, the quiet satisfaction of doing work we care about, the stillness of a morning walk, or the courage it takes to show up fully even when life feels uncertain. It becomes less about having more and more about being more present, more grateful, more aligned with our values. This present-centered definition of success brings relief from the pressure of performance. When we're no longer trapped in the chase for the next big thing, we can finally breathe. We're not sacrificing today in service of a tomorrow that may never arrive. Instead, we are fully awake to what this moment offers, and in doing so, we touch a kind of peace that eludes even the most accomplished. It also enhances the depth and richness of our daily lives. When we're not constantly racing toward the future, we begin to see again the texture of sunlight on the floor, the rhythm of laughter, the sacredness in the mundane. The present moment becomes something to be savored, not merely endured. And in this presence, we discover a kind of success that is living in the present quiets the noise of anxiety and comparison. A future-focused mindset often generates fear, stress, and the need to prove ourselves. But when we live in the now, we step out of that story. We are no longer defined by what we might become, but by who we are here, now. Enough. It also revolutionizes our relationships. To be present is to truly listen, to truly see, to be with others without distraction or agenda. This presence creates space for genuine connection and healing. It turns our conversations into sacred ground, and our relationships into reflections of mutual respect and love. Even our relationship with ourselves is transformed. No longer measuring our worth by future achievements, we learn to accept and even celebrate who we are in this moment. We stop striving to become someone better and start honoring the fullness of who we already are. The pressure lifts, the judgment softens. In its place, compassion, curiosity, peace. This way of seeing success also unlocks creativity and joy. When the future no longer owns us, we are free to explore, to experiment, to play. We pursue our passions, not for some external reward, but for the sheer pleasure of the process. Success becomes the joy of making, doing, living not the outcome, but the experience itself. We also begin to align more closely with what truly matters, without the constant noise of societal expectations or career milestones. We can ask the deeper questions. What do I value? What brings me meaning? What kind of life feels good to live today? And we start crafting a version of success that is deeply personal, grounded in authenticity rather than appearance. And when difficulty comes, and it always does, a present-centered mindset fosters resilience. Because we are not devastated by the disruption of some ideal future. We're rooted here. We face challenges with grace and adaptability. We understand that struggle is not a detour from success, but part of the terrain. And in that understanding, we grow stronger, more whole. Mental clarity also improves. Without the weight of what was or what might be, the mind becomes clearer, more spacious. New ideas arise. Creative solutions reveal themselves. Presence creates the fertile ground where innovation takes root. Time itself begins to feel different, no longer a race or an enemy. It becomes a sacred rhythm. Each moment becomes not something to rush through, but a gift to inhabit. And from this rhythm arises balance. Balance that includes rest, reflection, and restoration, not just relentless effort. And gratitude follows naturally. The more we live in the present, the more we notice the blessings that are already here. We are no longer stuck in what we don't have, but nourished by what we do. We begin to feel deeply that we are already rich in so many ways. Authenticity, too, is a natural outcome. When we're not performing for a future audience or living someone else's dream, we can finally be real. We live in alignment with our truth. We speak with our real voice. We take off the mask. And from this place of presence, a deeper purpose emerges. We stop chasing goals for appearance or approval. Instead, we choose paths that align with love, meaning, and contribution. We become builders of a more compassionate world, not through grand gestures, but through the quality of how we show up each day. We also begin to accept life's impermanence. Nothing lasts forever, not joy, not pain, not even life itself. And yet, this awareness doesn't create fear, it creates urgency, reverence. We savor what we have because we know it won't last. And in that savoring, we live more deeply. Self-kindness becomes easier. Instead of criticizing ourselves for what we haven't done, we learn to celebrate our effort, our courage, our progress. We extend grace to ourselves. We keep going not from fear, but from love. So what is success? Truly, it is not a finish line. It is not a number. It is not something the world gives you. It is how you live your life, how present, how grateful, how fully engaged you are with this one precious moment. Thank you for listening to this message on the power of now. Don't wait to live. Life is happening now. Every day you delay, you lose a moment you can never reclaim. Let today be the day you step into presence. Let go of the past. Release the future. The moment you are in is the only one you can shape, and what you choose to do with it will define your